Namaste. I said the last time that whatever form you worship God, it is in that form that God comes to you. Now, the thing that's important for people to understand is that He's on your side. He wants you to. People keep thinking it's so difficult to find God, and so they begin to look for lower fulfillments, and they begin to think of getting rich and getting fame and all the things that people want, and they pray to the gods for those. Karma Kand is usually only a practice of these various havan, yagas and so on to achieve certain astral powers. And they do work. Everything, those mantras do have power because everything is vibration. And there are certain verbal mantras that vibrate with certain realities. If you say those mantras and do the prescribed techniques and yagyas and so on, you can achieve all the things you're looking for. If you want a son, you can get it that way. If you want wealth, you can get it that way, and so on. There's a story my guru told of a man who was being bothered by a demon. And he had read in the Shastras that if you say a particular mantra over some powder and then cast the powder onto the demon, he will go away. And so the man said his mantra over this powder and then threw it onto the demon. And the demon just laughed at him. He said, before you could even say your mantra, I got into that powder myself. So how could it affect me? Many of these old stories have a deep meaning. In this case, the meaning is that the very ego that you're trying to overcome is already infected with the delusion that you are the ego. So you can't just will your way out of it. This is why the Guru is so important. As you meditate on him, you concentrate on his eyes here and call to him at the point between the eyebrows. Then listen in the heart for his response. And the more you do this, and I've many times I just sing to my Guru in my heart, and I find that then more and more his guidance comes to me, and he tells me what to do. I don't have to do it. You have to have that blessing of the Guru, but you can't get out of it yourself. You can't get out of the ego on your own power, because the ego is already infected by the disease that it is trying to overcome. So then, what you need to do is be in tune with the Guru, and gradually his consciousness will take over, and you will begin to see that you are the Guru. There is no difference between you. The purpose of the Guru is to make him like yourself. And the interesting thing is that then you don't lose your own self. It's not as if you suddenly have a different personality. When I studied singing at the age of 18, I took my lessons from an old woman, 75 years old. And she said that the voice is the one instrument that you can't see. I can show you how to hold your positions on the piano. I can show you your fingers on the piano. I can show you how to position your fingers on a harp. I can show you how to blow from a trumpet. But the voice you can't tell. And so what I have to do is sing the note rightly, and then when I have said it rightly, you have to imitate me. Well, she sang it rightly, but I had to imitate her vocal placement. And in fact, you notice that my voice, I'm 84 years old, but I still have a strong and young voice. That's because she taught me how to place my voice. This is something voice teachers in India don't know to teach. But the placement of the voice so that it comes up sort of like a violin bow over the violin strings, coming up through the vocal cords, keeping them relaxed, and bringing it here and sending it out, keeping the heart relaxed. You'll find that if you work on this, that you learn to have that placement. Now the thing is, when I had finally learned to place my voice right, it wasn't as if I suddenly developed a soprano voice. She was helping me to bring out that which I had in my body. I had the voice of a man. I had a resonant, deeper voice. And as a result, I just needed to learn how to place it. I didn't need to imitate her soprano. In this way also, the Guru, when he teaches you, he doesn't make you like him in sense of personality. My guru, when he was with his guru, Swami Kriyananda, Swami Kriyananda was completely the opposite of my guru as far as personality went. Swami Kriyananda was very impersonal, very mathematical, very jnanic, and he used to express himself in terms of cold spiritual mathematics, you might say. It's not that he didn't have love, but that part was hidden. He was showing the wisdom aspect. And in fact, the feeling that he had, he expressed in his book, The Holy Science, where he said that the first step on the spiritual path, without which you can't take one step forward, is to develop the heart's natural love for God. And at the end of his book, he said, to me it's a little funny, but yet it was a great truth. He said, I trust I have demonstrated conclusively that God is love. Well, he approached it in a very different way from the way I would. But the thing is that Yogananda's nature was devotional. It was not jnanic. And he met in meeting his guru taught him the wisdom aspect so that he could balance these two in his teachings. And it was great that way. But he didn't become like his guru. He found that with attunement with his guru, even though his guru had a very different personality, what it was power. The guru gives you the power, as it says in the Bible, to those who received him gave he power to become the sons of God. And so the guru's attunement with the guru, he helps you to develop the power to express these truths. It's like a stained glass window in a church. The glass is just different colors, blue, red, green, orange, etc. But when the sun is not shining on it, it's very dull gray. When the sun shines through that light, every pane takes on light. And it's not that the colors become all meshed together. The more power there is, the more each individual pane displays its own natural color. And so the power of the guru, when you attune yourself to him, you don't give up you. You are unique in all eternity. There was a song in the 1940s, there will never ever be another you. Well, this is the truth. There will never be another you. You are individually unique in the universe. And that's one of the wonderful things about this great show, this great cosmic show. Every single atom, as Master said, is dowered with individuality. And every person expresses God in a different way. It's like two thumbprints. They're not ever alike. Two snowflakes. The vast numbers and numbers that come to earth in a snowstorm. And yet no two flakes are exactly alike. And so it is with the guru. In attuning yourself with him, what he gives you is not his personality, but that spiritual power, which shining through you, then you suddenly find that you have more power to be who you really are. You know, most people they borrow their values from other people. Think of people coming out of a Western movie, and many times you'll find the men sort of wobbling a little bit as if walking after getting off a horse. They're so imitative. Don't copy anyone. Just feel in yourself that this for me is right. It may not be right for other people. You may have your opinion, but I want to do that which will give me bliss. And everybody's approach to bliss, amazingly, is somehow his own. I had this lovely experience in Florence, in Italy, just a few months ago. And I wanted so much. I woke up and this inspiration was there. And I wanted so much to express this inspiration, but I could find no paper. Usually hotels have notepads so that you can write notes. No pads. I looked in my suitcase, nothing at all. Finally I found that under a glass there was a little paper doily. So I wrote this inspiration there. But I said in that inspiration that I have found that the more blissful I am, the more I simply can't help loving everybody. Because I see that they are all, each one is expressing his own approach to bliss and will in the end have his own definition of bliss, his own kind of bliss. Everybody is so lovable because even the worst criminal is seeking that bliss. We all are seeking Satchidananda. And the amazing thing about Satchidananda, that's why Master translated it differently. He said not only ever existing, ever conscious, but also ever new bliss. Because that bliss is varied throughout eternity. You can never repeat it from moment to moment, from person to person. It's absolutely thrilling. And this is why when the scriptures say that divine attainment is supremely relishable, rasha, you can't beat it. It's the most wonderful thing you could ever imagine. And so God says that in whatever way people seek me, that way they find me. But it's also true in the other way, that if you seek Maya, there's so many ways of getting into it. And thus, if you want to have powers or positions and so on, you will get those. And yet they don't give you anything. This is the trouble with Tantra. Many people with Tantra manage to rise quickly, but they also fall quickly. Because there is power. They're attached to powers. They want power. But without love, you can never find God. So just don't be like one of those self-important yogis who sort of talk down to people. Be like a little child. You are his own. And if you love him just like a child, he will help you to understand your particular approach to him as the right one. I worship God as my Divine Mother, so she comes to me that way. Jesus Christ worshipped him as Father, or maybe his tradition made him talk that way, I don't know. But so many different ways. And each person, when he sees the Divine Mother, he doesn't see the classic stylized Kali, Durga, Lakshmi, etc. What he sees is the most ideal person that he can imagine in his mind. That's why my guru, at the end of that meditation, when Divine Mother was going, he said, "Oh, you are so beautiful." And then he said, don't go. But here he was, a great master. He showed us these things to help us to understand this is how we must approach God. This is how we must love him. He's our own. And you can scold him. You can ask God, why did you do that to me? It wasn't right of you. You can talk to him like your own mother or your dearest friend. He accepts it from you as long, this is the caveat, as long as you give love to him. You have to speak to him with love. It's not enough to plead with him, Lord, give me money, Lord, give me this, Lord, give me that. There was a story of Akbar, and the hermit in the Himalayas had an inspiration to build a hermitage, and he had no money. But he thought, well, Akbar is a very generous man, and so he went to him, and because the Muslims all worship together, he sat right near Akbar while he was praying. And he heard Akbar, who had so much property, so much wealth, still saying to God, give me more property, give me more wealth. And afterwards, and this hermit was laughing and laughing, and Akbar said, what are you laughing about? And he said, well, Your Majesty, I came here to ask you for the money to build a hermitage. And Akbar said, yes, I would be happy to do that. He said, no, why should I do that? I would be begging from the biggest beggar I've ever met. I don't want to beg from a beggar. And Akbar said, what do you mean? He said, well, here you are wanting more money, more power, more land, more this, more that. He said, I don't want that kind of thing. Don't pray to God for things. Yes, he will give them to you if you do pray. If you want to become rich, prayer can do it more quickly for you than anything else. But above all, pray for his love. Pray for him to give him yourself. I sang that Bengali song a few, maybe weeks ago now. Mukti dete pari, mukti dete pari, mukti dete pari, bhakti dete pari kori. Oh, devotee, the Divine Mother is singing, I can give you salvation, but don't ask my love and devotion. Because when I give those away, I give everything away. And what she's really saying, of course, is therefore, give me your love, ask for my love and devotion. But there's another lesson in this. You can ask for devotion, and he will answer that prayer. So instead of just trying to whip up devotion in your heart, ask him for that grace. Even the desire to seek God is grace. Even the love for God is grace. So pray for him, Lord, help me to love you more deeply. Help me to feel that you are my one reality. Help me to forget all other fulfillments, because I only want you. I don't want salvation, because salvation will still mean I'll be in the astral world with an ego. I just want your love. And when you seek that love that way, you find that actually behind that love is bliss. It's really not even enough to pray for love, because the trouble with love is that there's a danger of becoming personal. You love somebody because of a personal thing. You like to be with him or her. You like to have him or her be with you, etc. But if you seek bliss, then you have that kind of impersonal love which wants nothing but is willing to give everything. So above all, I would say, pray to God for his bliss. And when you have that bliss, you will love everybody, because you will see that in that bliss, they don't belong to you and you don't belong to them. It's all just his wonderful play, and this bliss will begin to transform you, and your ego will gradually just melt away. Steal away, steal away, steal away, Ma, steal away. And when you realize that that is who you are, then what else is there to seek? Than which no attainment can be greater, than which no desire can be more fulfilled. God alone. Joy to you.